Next, repeat.
Do you want me to read, Prabhuji, or you're comfortable?
I can read.
Okay.
न ब्राह्मणे स्तुलये भूतमन्यत् पश्यामि विप्रः किम् अतः परं तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धयाहम् अश्नामि कामं न तथाग्निहोत्रे. Translation. O respectful Brahmanas, as far as I am concerned, no one is equal or superior to the Brahmanas in this world. I do not find anyone comparable to them. When people know my motive after performing rituals according to the Vedic principles, they offer me with faith and love through the mouth of the Brahman. When food is thus offered to me, I eat it with full satisfaction. Indeed, I derive more pleasure from food offered in that way than from the food offered in the sacrificial fire. According to the Vedic system, after the sacrificial ceremony, the Brahmanas are invited to eat the remnants of the offering. When the Brahmanas eat the food, it is to be considered directly eaten by the Supreme Lord. Thus, no one can be compared to qualified Brahman. Perfection of evolution is to be situated on the Brahmanical platform. Any civilization not based on Brahmanical culture or guided by Brahmanas is certainly a condemned civilization. Presently, human civilization is based on self-gratification, and consequently, more and more people are becoming addicted to different types of things. No one respects Brahmanical culture. Demoniac civilization is attached to Ugra Karma, horrible activities, and big industries are created to satisfy unfathomable lusty desires. Consequently, the people are greatly harassed by governmental taxation. The people are irreligious and do not perform the sacrifices recommended in the book. Yajnat bhavati parjanya. By the performance of sacrifice, clouds form and rain falls. Due to sufficient rainfall, there is sufficient production of food, guided by the Brahman society to follow the principles of food. Then people will become very happy. Annad bhavanti bhutani. When animals and man are sufficiently fed with grains, they become stronger, their hearts become tranquil, and their brains peaceful. They can then advance in spiritual life, life's ultimate destination. Hare Krishna. Yes, so now Krishna, or Lord Rishabhdev, is stating how much he respects Brahmanas, no matter what form he takes in. And that's why he's also saying that he, as we've read so many times, that he eats food through the mouths of the Brahmanas. And that's what he's saying, that he derives the most pleasure in it. And this is more than food offered in the sacrificial time. And now, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, that we have created so many big industries, performing so much Ugra Karma, unnecessary activities. And there is this beautiful lecture by Prabhupada called Unnecessary Necessities that the human civilization has brought up. And because of that, we are all suffering. If you think, even 100, 200 years back, when there was not so much industrialization, people were very peaceful. They would just, do some farming on some. They would just do some farming and then, happily live their lives based on the food grains and the milk that they obtained from the cows, and that was their life. Nothing more was needed. But now we have just so many necessities and not enough time to fulfill them or to fulfill our desires. And that's why we are also unable to do bhakti sometimes. And as Prabhupada is saying clearly, no one respects Brahmanical culture. Somebody is seen to be, reading Bhagavad Gita or doing some bhakti or chanting. People often deride such people. People often deride devotees. And that is also why we see so many heinous acts happening in society nowadays. So that's why the real necessity of humans, as we've already seen, is to serve the Brahmanas, who give us the proper understanding, the proper knowledge by which we realize our true natures, and we can go back to not increase our bodily necessities unnecessarily. Hare Krishna. Would someone like to add something?
In 3.14, Krishna says, all living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from grains. Grains are produced by performance of yajna. Yajna is born of prescribed duties. And so Prabhupada prescribed again and again that the Varnashrama system and the Vedic type of rural living, where the bull and the cow or farm community, where again it is like sacrifice is made and then grains are produced. That is the way to purify ourselves. Otherwise, this industrial, it's very difficult to develop a Brahminical culture in this industrial. You may be like again and again he says in his purpose that those who are born Brahmanas are not, they're just by name of Brahmana. To get to a Brahminical culture, we have to follow the Varna system and the Vedic culture of yajna and sacrifice, which is more and more difficult in today's world. That's about it. Hare Krishna.
We should also, that just reminded me to say that Varnashram system itself is not the solution. It supports the devotional activities, devotional life. That's why Prabhupada was very insistent on having farm community living in village environment, because it is in Sattva Guna. So it helps us progress in that. That itself is not the goal.
Absolutely. Whereas in today's industrial age, it's very, very difficult because there are too many. I mean, it is not very amenable to devotional life as opposed to a farm living, which is much more amenable to Vedic culture and then devotion.
Very true. Someone like to read the next one?
Hare Prabhu.
Sure, Prabhu.
Drita Thanur Usati Me Purani
Drita
Tanushati me purani.
Yeneha Sattvam Paramam Pavitram
Yenehi sattvam paramam pavitram.
Samo Damaha Satyam Anugrahascha
Satyam anugrahascha.
Tapas Titiksha Nubhavascha Yatra.
Tapasti dikshanubhavascha yatra.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace from Prabhupada. Translation. The Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. Therefore, the Vedas are Sabda Brahma. In this world, the Brahmanas thoroughly study all the Vedas. And because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are to be considered the Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattva Guna. Because of this, they are fixed in mind control, Sama, sense control, Dhamma, and truthfulness, Satya. They describe the Vedas in their original sense. And out of mercy, Anugraha, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. They practice penance, tapasya, and tolerance, titiksha, and they realize the question of the living entity and the Supreme Lord, Anubhava. These are the 8 qualifications of the Brahmanas. Therefore, among all living entities, no one is superior to the Brahmanas. Purport. This is a true description of a Brahmana. The Brahmana is one who has assimilated the Vedic conclusions by practicing mind and sense control. He speaks the true version of all the Vedas, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Vedas sarver aham eva vedyaha. By studying all the Vedas, one should come to understand the transcendental position of the Lord Sri Krishna. One who actually assimilated the essence of the Vedas can teach the truth. He is compassionate to the conditioned souls who are suffering the threefold miseries of this conditioned world due to their not being Krishna conscious. A Brahmana should take pity on the people and preach Krishna consciousness in order to elevate them. Sri Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally descends into this universe from the spiritual kingdom to teach the conditional souls about the values of spiritual life. He tries to induce them to surrender unto him. Similarly, the Brahmanas do the same thing. After assimilating the Vedic instructions, they assist the Supreme Lord in his endeavor to deliver conditioned souls. The Brahmanas are very dear to the Supreme Lord due to their high sattva guna qualities, and they also engage in welfare activities for all the conditioned souls in the material world. Hare Krishna. So here in this, Rishabhadeva was saying that Brahmanas, they are fixed in mind control, Sama, sense control, Dhamma, truthfulness, Satya. They describe Vedas in their original sense. So they assimilate and study the Vedas, and the learnings and teachings they assimilate without interpretation, tell the different classes of men what is it that they do to purify themselves and become Krishna conscious. They have mercy, anugraha, because they are not after wealth. They are more, the Brahmanas want to, out of mercy, disseminate the knowledge of the Vedas to the general populace. They preach the purpose of the Vedas to all the conditioned souls. The purpose of the Vedas eventually is to come to the devotional platform and understand our relationship to the Lord. They practice penance, tapasya. So to do all this, they have to practice penance. Otherwise, they would not, if they live a rajasic or tamasic life, they would not be able to. They have to be situated in the mode of goodness. So, and then practice penance to be able to assimilate the learnings of the Vedas. And they have tolerance, titiksha. They are like, we have learned but again and again in Bhagavad Gita about the dualities. So the Brahmanas are high in tolerance, are able to tolerate the dualities. And they realize the position of the living entities and the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada says here that this is the true description of a Brahmana. And a Brahmana is one who has assimilated all the Vedic conclusions. Prabhupada also quotes the verse from Bhagavad Gita where the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaisa sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krida vedavid eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So the Lord is known by all the Vedas. Indeed, He is the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So, in the Krishna, when the Lord came, when the Lord preached the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, is where he directly gave all the essence of all the Vedas, all the Upanishads in one concise form in the battlefield to Arjuna. So there he is like telling him everything that is to be known from the Vedas and how one is to live life and act without, actually act in Krishna consciousness. So the Brahmanas do the same thing where they assist the Lord in assimilating the Vedic instructions and telling the general populace how they are to conduct their daily lives. So the Brahmanas being very dear to the Lord because they are high in Sattva-guna. Whereas generally today in Kali Yuga, all three modes are very prevalent and Rajasic and Tamasic guna are like quite high in the mix of all the three gunas. So one has to chant the name of the Lord, surrender to the Lord, serve devotees, associate with devotees, slowly to come up higher in Sattva-guna, and then slowly become situated on a Brahmanical platform. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to add to that, please? Not, we can go on to the next verse. Would somebody else like to read, please?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Please, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna ji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Shri Prabhupada ji ki jai. Text number 25. Mato abhi ananta parata parasmat
Matko abhi ananta paratah atmat
स्वर्ग अपवर्ग आधिपतेन किंचित येषां किमु स्यादितरेण तेषां अकिंचनानामयि भक्ति भजाम. I am fully, translation, I am fully opulent, almighty, and superior to Lord Brahma and Indra, the king of heavenly planets. I am also the bestower of all happiness obtained in the heavenly kingdom and by liberation. Nonetheless, the Brahmanas do not seek material comforts from me. They are very pure and do not want to possess anything. They simply engage in my devotional service. What is the need of their asking for material benefits from anyone else? Purport. The perfect Brahmanical qualification is stated here in Akinchana Nam Vai Bhakti Bhajam. The Brahmanas are always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Consequently, they have no material wants, nor do they possess material things. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 11.8, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains the position of pure Vaishnavas who are anxious to return home back to Godhead. Nishkinchanasya Bhagavat Bhajanonmukhasya. Those who actually want to return back to Godhead are Nishkinchana. That is, they have no desire for material comfort. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises, Sandarshanam Vishayinam Atha Yositam Chaha Hanta Visha Bhakshanato Api Asadhu. Material opulence and sense gratification through the association of women are more dangerous than poison. Brahmanas who are pure Vaishnava always engage in the Lord's service and are devoid of any desire for material gain. The Brahmanas do not worship demigods like Lord Brahma, Indra, or Lord Shiva for any material comfort. They do not ask the Supreme Lord for material profit. Therefore, it is concluded that Brahmanas are the supreme living entities of the world. Sri Kapil Dev also confirmed this in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.29.33. Tasman mai arpita sheshak kriya artha atma nirantara mai arpitatmana pumso mai sanyashta karmana na pashyami param bhutam akartu sama darshanat. The Brahmanas are always dedicated to the Lord's service with their bodies, mind, and words and mind. There is no better person than Brahmana who thus engages himself and dictates himself to the Supreme Lord. So here in this verse, it's linking with the previous one where Prabhupada is explaining how Brahmanas do not seek for any material comfort. They are very pure because they are very pure and they do not possess anything. What does that mean? Does that mean Brahmanas do not have anything? Might be the case. But here Prabhupada is also linking that they do not have any material desire for their own sense gratification or for their own benefit. Anything a Brahmana or a Vaishnava does, that's for Krishna's service. So if a Vaishnava is materially opulent, he might be using all this opulence that is given by Krishna for Krishna's service. And here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is highlighting a very important point, saying, if somebody is really serious to return back to home, back to Godhead, then the stage that we wanted to attain is no desire for material comfort. In the sense, for our own comfort. Yes, we do want to give comfort to Krishna. In the sense, whatever we have, we want to leverage it for the service of Krishna, but there should not be any particular desire of our own, like personal desire that we want to fulfill. It's all given by Krishna, and it's all given to Krishna should be the way we want to take it. And here Krishna, Rishabdev Ji is also talking about that, Krishna is saying, I'm more powerful than anyone else. I'm almighty, I'm opulent. Everything is coming from Krishna. Yet those Brahmanas who serve Krishna do not ask for anything, knowing that if they ask, Krishna is going to more than happily give anything. Like we have seen the example of Dhruv Maharaj, where he was asking just for mere his prowess like his father, but he ended up getting way more. Dhruv Maharaj himself says, I ended up with getting so many diamonds where I was asking for mere a stone. So we can see Krishna, if we have a desire, Krishna will certainly fulfill, but we have to look at what cost. In the sense, if I am getting too much pulled into fulfilling that desire, that it takes the time away from bhakti, or it takes me away from my purifying my consciousness, probably not a good bargain that I'm trying to make. That's where Prabhupada is saying that we should try to, that's why Prabhupada keeps calling again and again, we should try to simplify as much as possible. Simple living and high thinking. And here Prabhupada is very nicely ending it, saying Brahmanas are always dedicated to Lord's service with their bodies, with their words, and with their mind. So anything they possess that's related to their body is used in the service of Krishna. With their words, they are always talking about Krishna or serving Krishna, and so in their mind. That's all. Prabhuji and Mataji, please go ahead and comment. Anybody would like to add anything? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So Brahmanas or poor Vaishnavas always engage in the Lord's service. That means Brahmanas are not supposed to do anything other than engage in the Lord's service. They are not to, in today's material world, people go about, you're not supposed to directly work, earn money. You have to live off alms, what comes from other people. So that is the Vedic. We have seen multiple times through Bhagavatam that is the way Brahmanas lead life in the Vedic culture. And we see that it's more difficult to do in today's world. But where Brahmanas don't have the need for anything, and the only thing that they work for and only thing that they do is service of the Lord. That being the true definition of Brahmanical culture, which again and again Rishabdeva is emphasizing in the few verses. And those who actually want to return back to God are the Kinchana. They have no desire for material comfort. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, material opulence and sense gratification through association of women are more dangerous than poison. So that is the level to which one has to keep this material association and practice Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Beautiful points, too. Anyone would like to add something, or should we continue to the next one? Or do we want to pause here? Let's see. How big is the next one?
We can read one.
ठीक है जी.
Would somebody like to read the next verse, please? Quite a large verse. Okay. Sarvani mad dishyateya bhavadvis
सर्वाणि मद्दृश्यतया भवतीश्च
sarani bhutani suta dhruvani
चरानि भूतानि सुता ध्रुवाणि
sambhava vitavyani pade padevo
संभवाति व्यानि पदे पदे
vikta drigbis tadhu harhanam me
विविक्त दृग्भस्तदु हरणं मे.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Swami Prabhupada. Translation. My dear sons, we should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving, knowing that I am situated in them. You should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me. Purport. In this word, the word Vivikta Drikvihi means without envy is used. All living entities are the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature. As confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Andantra Stham Paramanu Chayantra Stham. The Lord is situated in this universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. He is also situated within every atom. According to the Vedic statement, Ishavashyam Idam Sarvam. The Supreme Lord is situated everywhere, and wherever He is situated is His temple. We even offer respect to a temple from a distant place, and all the living entities should similarly be offered respect. This is different from the theory of pantheism, which holds that everything is God. Everything has a relationship with God because God is situated everywhere. We should not make any particular distinction between the poor and the rich, like the foolish worshippers of Daridra Narayana. Narayana is present in the rich as well as the poor. One should not simply think Narayana is situated among the pure. He is everywhere. An advanced devotee will offer respects to everyone, even to cats and dogs. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Sunichaiva Swapakecha, Pandita Samadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog outcast. Bhagavad Gita 5.18. This Samadarshina, equal vision, should not be mistaken to mean that the individual is the same as the Supreme Lord. They are always distinct. Every individual person is different from the Supreme Lord. It is a mistake to equate individual living entity with the Supreme Lord on the plea of Vivikta Drik, Samadrik. The Lord is always in an exalted position, even though He agrees to live everywhere. Sri Madhvacharya, quoting Padma Purana, says, Vivikta Drishti Jivanam Drishniyaya Parameshwarasya Veda Drishtihi. One who has clear vision and who is devoid of envy can see that the Supreme Lord is separate from all living entities, although He is situated in every living entity. Madhvacharya further quotes from Padma Purana. Upapadayet Paramatmanam Jivebhyo Ya Pade Pade Vede Neva Na Chaitasmat Priyo Vishnostu Kashchana. One who sees the living entity and the Supreme Lord as always distinct, is very dear to the Lord. Padma Purana always states, Yo Hare Shaiva Jivanam Veda Vakta Hare Priyaha. One who preaches that the living entities are separate from the Supreme Lord is very dear to Lord Vishnu. Hare Krishna. So, Rishabhadeva is further instructing his sons that they should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving. Knowing that I am situated in them, you should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respects to me. So, Prabhupada in his purport here is stressing on 2 points. Isa Vasham Idam Sarvam. The Supreme Lord is situated everywhere. So, when the Lord, again in Bhagavatam, we've read that when the Lord is, when this material world is getting created by the Lord, by his glance, he impregnates the entire creation and he is situated in every atom. This is something that we've read in Bhagavatam. So the first point is that for us to be able to understand that the Lord is present everywhere. Every single atom that pervades this entire creation, the Lord is present there. And we should then accordingly treat everything, moving, non-moving, with respect, because they are all created by the Lord. And here Prabhupada is making a distinction that we should not equate everything to the Lord, in the sense of he is situated within. But that doesn't mean that everything has a relationship with God, because God is situated everywhere. And that is different from the theory of pantheism, which holds that everything is God. It's a subtle difference where they say everything is God and let's worship everything. Whereas the clear distinction that Prabhupada is making here is everything has a relationship with God because God is situated everywhere. And this is the distinction that we should make. And again in Bhagavad Gita 5.80, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, where a Pandita is one who is able to see everything with Samadarshana, with equal vision. And again, Prabhupada says in the last line, one who preaches that the living entities are separate from the Supreme Lord and we are distinct, then is very dear to Lord Vishnu, because the person is situated in true knowledge and is able to make the distinction between the Jiva and the Lord. That is very, very important distinction in the Sampradaya, and that person who is able to preach such a distinction is very dear to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to add to that, please? If there are no further comments, then we can close for the day.
जी प्रभु जी.
Sure.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you जी.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you जी. Hare Krishna प्रभु जी. धन्यवाद प्रणाम.
प्रभुपाद की जय.
जय.
Jai.